As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Good morning. Welcome to the Jeff Iafrate Show. It is Monday, April 21st. Hopefully you all had a great Easter, great weekend, and today is going to be a great week. Today's going to be a great day, but this week's going to be a great week because it's the NFL Draft. Today is Game 2 of Pistons-Knicks, which I will talk about today, give my thoughts on how the Pistons can bounce back, what they need in order to bounce back. And honestly, the draft being this Thursday, I have my final Detroit Lions mock draft, which I will be getting into today. Tried to keep it, I guess, relative to what I think the Lions could actually do, players they've met with, players that, I guess, according to insiders, people that have more information than me, the Lions like. So today I'm going to give you guys a more realistic mock draft at about 8:30 or 9:30, excuse me, and we'll get into that. But this draft week is going to be very exciting. And the closer I get to the NFL draft, and I think most Lions fans feel the same way, it's just kind of a sense of peace. You know, I'm not really stressed out about it. I think that's the benefit of having a great GM. It's weird, and we've experienced this over the last handful of years, but if anything, I'm excited. And I know Brad Holmes had the quote about getting popcorn. That's kind of what it feels like to me right now. I'm more excited than anything, honestly, because we will be at DraftKings Sports and Social on Thursday. It's going to be a blast. And we've already posted social media graphics kind of indicating what time people should get there. If you're planning on going there, if you're not too far away, please come hang out. We'll be there early. We'll watch the Pistons game, 7 o'clock, and then we'll go live. And then we'll be live for the NFL draft at 8 o'clock. So we'll be live for an hour before the draft, just talking whether it's about the NFL draft or talking about the Pistons game, and then we'll dive right into the NFL draft. So only a couple of days. And with that comes a lot more and the last of draft content, because this week we're getting into our mock drafts, Lions mock drafts, but also our last first round mock drafts. And then we'll get to see if the Pistons can respawn tonight and at least tie the series 1-1. Because I guess, you know, it sucks being down 1-0, but it's going to be even worse being down 2-0. Saw a graphic on the screen when we were doing the watch party that the team that wins game 1 wins 70% of the time. So disregard that, though. You know, who cares? Pistons still have a chance, especially the way they looked up until the fourth quarter. But we'll get into all that. Good morning, everyone. See Shift God in here. Malik, Coach, what up, baby? I see Booner in here as well. Yeah, Rip Pope Francis, man. Day after Easter passed away. R.I.P. Hopefully you guys all had a great Easter. Boone's in here. Shout out Boone. But like I said, I'm excited for the draft, man. I'm not really stressing about it. If anything, I'm more curious to see if they even have a first round pick or not. Because I still would lean on the side of trading back. I still think that's a possibility. Today in my mock, I didn't do any trades because at this point, I'm just going to tell you guys what I think they'll do at those picks. But I'm still leaning they'll trade back. I'm still leaning they won't make a first round pick because it just makes too much sense. The more you do mocks, not that mocks are realistic by any means, but I guess it's just a feeling I have with the players that'll be there potentially at 28. I mean, maybe you could take Gray Zabel, or maybe you trade back. Because I was listening to Todd McShay, and he's someone I really respect. One of the brightest draft minds, honestly, in the entire space. And he went into how every position, it's just a significant downgrade from last year. He said the wide receiver 1 of this class would be wide receiver 3, 4 of last year's class. Quarterback 2 of this class would be quarterback 6 of last class. You know, and there's some players that aren't quite on that level or that low. Ashton Gentry probably still go top 10 last year, but there are position groups that are rough, you know, and that's just the reality of the draft. I know the quote that I believe it was Todd McShay or it was Daniel Jeremiah, but it's a starters class, not a star class. And that's kind of the indication I'm getting too is, you know, some of these positions, man, although they might go high in the draft, they're not really rated high in general. That's why I guess trading back might not be as bad of an idea, although it's not exciting, right? You want to make a first round pick. It's just looking at this draft class. Like even the fact the Lions brought in Matthew Golden. Like I like Matthew Golden, but where does Matthew Golden go last year? Second round? Easily. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to say the least, especially the drafts in Green Bay. So there you go. Another opportunity to jump the Packers and make Tom Grossi mad. Shout out Tom Grossi, absolute legend. So Malik says Brad hyping us up to trade back and make Packers fans happy. Rashawn says, Jeff, you excited for draft week? Any trades you expect? Yeah, I mean, besides trading back, I think Brad's going to do a couple. He's going to make moves. He does it every single draft. I think the first round scenario I most believe is going to happen is trading back. I still believe that. And I know they've met with some guys they could trade up for, but I'm still leaning back. I'm still leaning on trading back. Now, past the first round, and I think you guys would all agree with this, man. I mean, if Brad likes a guy, he's going to go up and get him, especially when you have that late first or you have a late pick in every round. Expect Brad to move up at some point. And, you could get a scenario where maybe you move back in the first round, but in the third round, you trade up 20 picks and go get a guy. So I think there'll be a mix of both. I think I would lean trading back in the first round, but throughout the entirety of the draft, I think Brad trades up, especially because the players that'll be there in that second, third round, just that bucket in general. If they don't go edge in the first round, there's going to be some really good pass rushers in round 2, maybe 3, but more so 2 that you could trade up and go get. So I think there'll be moves, but the biggest one in the first round, I'm still leaning on trading back. And again, that's just my opinion. I don't have any confirmation of that. Lions fan 22, I want James Pierce Jr. badly, Jeff. Well, I'm with you, brother. I am with you. He says, I might even want to trade up for maybe, but they probably won't. And then they won't. I've had scenarios in like today, for example. I'll just give you guys this because it doesn't really matter. I did my mock today, and James Pierce was there at 28, and I didn't take him. So I'm done. He's off the Lions draft board. It's just a feeling I'm getting. Now, if he's selected, I will be ecstatic. You guys know my infatuation with James Pierce. I think he's going to be a really good player, and I think wherever he goes, that team, if he goes to the right spot, the Ravens, like these organizations that I think can develop players really well, he's going to be a really good player. Eagles, Ravens, I think he'd be really good with the Lions, but there's a couple spots you can say, well, if he goes there and it all clicks, he's going to be a really good player. Shift God says, Pierce Jr., not a culture guy in Brad's eyes. I doubt it. Yeah, that's most likely the reason. Kiazi, Jeff, did you see Tom Grossi's video of us taking one of their players again in the draft in the first round? I did. Maybe they move in front of him. I mean, honestly, the Packers need pass rushers. Not that they need corners, pass rushers. They could take a pass rusher. So watch the Lions trade in front of them. I mean, they could. If they trade up, they could jump the Packers again. I mean, that would be hysterical for content reasons, but I doubt it. I don't see Brad jumping up, 10 picks to go and get somebody. Especially with the draft and how it's shaped. But maybe they think, hey, this draft isn't very, deep when it comes to star talent. So maybe Brad feels if we trade up, we can get a caliber of player that we won't get at 28. I don't know. So I guess you can argue both ways, but I'd still lean trade back. Stay put or trade back. Let's see here. Ghetto Boy Juan, if Nick Scorton didn't leave Purdue, he would have been James Pierce. Yeah, I mean, people are a little... Lucas, love Lucas. Not a big fan of Nick Scorton. I wouldn't say that. I like Nick Scorton. I don't love him. If he's the pick at 28, I'm not going to be upset about it because people just need to go back and watch the Purdue tape. I mean, he was up in the Big Ten. He's up there in the Big Ten in sacks, very productive. And then at Texas A&M just wasn't as productive. But look around the defensive line for Texas A&M. I mean, none of those guys are really productive. You don't have too much of an excuse for Shamar Stewart because he, over the last handful of years, had the same, like a sack and a half. It's a little different. Nick Scorton at least showed it. And if you go watch that film, he was, out of all the guys on that defensive line, he was getting a lot of double teams, Nick Scorton. So I'm not opposed to that. Jay Hart says, sick. I can't be there Thursday. Bro, definitely was going to come to the draft party this year if I wasn't going to the Pistons game. Next live show, I'll be there. Oh, dude, Jay Hart, don't sweat it, dude. If you're going to the Pistons game, I don't even want to hear you apologize. Okay? That's going to be amazing. I think Gentry might be there too. So say what up to Gentry if you see him out there. But that, I mean, come on. You're good. You're good, Jay Hart. We know, we love you. Have a great time, man. That's going to be a crazy environment. It is. So I'm not mad at that at all. You can always check up on the draft on your phone or whatever. I ain't sweating that. Malik says, we have such a good culture, but we're afraid of one off guy. I thought our culture was strong enough to help shit like this. Yeah, I mean, that's the point I keep making. But maybe I don't know. They don't even like the idea of one bad apple, maybe. I don't know. I'm with you. I mean, if one rookie can dismantle a locker room, then your locker room was never strong to begin with. That's just my opinion. But Brad might think, hey, we don't even want to bring in one guy that has question marks. I think if you're a good enough team, you can afford to do that. But Brad's running this team. I'm not. So, and it's probably for the best. But we've seen the Eagles do it with Jalen Carter. I mean, they had Brandon Graham in there, Fletcher Cox, and look at Jalen Carter. He hasn't really been an issue at all. I think it'll be like that with James Pierce, but who am I? Who am I? Shift God said, Jeff, would you be shocked if they traded up for Jalen Walker? I wouldn't be shocked. No, I would not be shocked. And I know for me, Jalen Walker, I think he checks a lot of boxes. I guess where my confusion comes in is I wonder what he looks like in the NFL. I wonder what his role will be because he can get after the quarterback. He's a little smaller. I'm not going to sit here and say I'd be upset. If they traded up and got Jalen Walker, I'd be like, hell yeah. A lot of teams like him in the first round. A lot. He's not going to fall. If he falls, it won't be far because there'll be a team that is in love with him. And he's projected to go top 10. So if you draft him, if you trade up to like 16, 15 and get him wherever, I mean, I don't think you could trade. I don't think he'll be there in the 20s, at least from the reports I'm reading. But yeah, I wouldn't be upset. I think they would. Jalen Walker would be he would be like that Swiss Army knife on defense they could use. And I'd be excited to see how they use him. I mean, if they like Josiah Stewart in the second, third round, you'd assume they love Jalen Walker. He can do a lot of things for you. Do a lot of things. So I have no issue with that at all. Malik says Bruce Irvin, who was the first man ejected from the Super Bowl, played for us. I mean, Bruce Irvin. Lions fan, 222. Do you like the idea of going double Buckeye, taking Donovan Jackson in round 1, then a stack with that Jack Sawyer in round 2? I'll say this on Donovan Jackson. I'm not opposed. I love Donovan Jackson. He's been in, I believe, 1 or 2 of my mocks. And I think he's when you have a player that can play left tackle and guard at a pretty high level, and he checks all the character traits. He checks like all the football character stuff, the human being stuff, the football player. I mean, you can't go wrong. He's a really good pick in round 1, especially because he could play guard for you right away. And then at some point, he could play tackle. I mean, he played tackle for Ohio State during their national championship run, playing tackle, man, against some pretty good teams, SEC teams, Notre Dame. I mean, he played tackle, and he held his own. So I would love the idea of Donovan Jackson, and I honestly would not be upset with Jack Sawyer either. I've always said about Jack Sawyer, I think people are obsessed sometimes with ceilings. I don't mind high floor guys. I don't. I think people get, high floor. If Jack Sawyer can give you 6 sacks a year, maybe he never reaches double-digit sacks, but that's still a really good player. You know what I mean? That's a player you can definitely value if he's semi-productive for you as a round 2 pick. Maybe they met with him. Maybe he doesn't fit certain measurable pieces. Like maybe you're looking at longer arms or the athleticism or the bend. Maybe Brad values that a little more. But just based on just the football player, whenever Ohio State needed to play on defense, Jack Sawyer made it. So I'm not going to sit here and be upset with it. I just don't know if the Lions would do it. But I would love it. And it seems like from Jack Sawyer, just like the human being, Dan Campbell, Brad would love him. I mean, he's like the definition of grit. Absolute grit. Jesse says, Booner would be butthurt if they picked. No, Booner would be ecstatic, actually, ironically. Because Booner's a Michigan fan, but come to the draft. Booner just wants the Lions to win. That's all he wants. And if you can get Jack Sawyer, which actually we're all Jack Sawyer people here on this show. Even, Lukas Klotz, of course, the biggest one. But we all love Jack Sawyer. The boys would be fired up. They would. And I'll get to my mock again at about 9:30. I'll go through it, break it down. And we'll talk about it because I had an interesting, I believe we're on 8.0. So I had an interesting 8.0. And again, I'll get to that 9:30, but I want to spend some time and talk about the Pistons because the Pistons had a rough outing on Saturday and we were live for it. Appreciate all you guys who tuned in. We'll be live again tonight for the game. The game's at 7:30. We'll be live at 7. All the boys will be there watching the game. I already put a little parlay in, small one, but I got something in for tonight just so you know that we get even more competitive. But I'm excited. And with that comes, temperatures rising in the room because they are down 1-0. And it was a game in which they started off very slow. And then they ended the first quarter very well. It was tied. And then you go into the second quarter, close second quarter. And then you're like, okay, they're hanging on. Tobias Harris is playing an excellent first half. Malik Beasley comes in. He's shooting the hell out of the ball. You have Tim Hardaway Jr. shooting the hell out of the ball. All the role players that I talked about that need to step up, stepped up. And they did that. But they lost. So that's where it gets really tough because the player that you least worried about did not. And that was Cade Cunningham. He just did not play well. He played very passive. It looked like he was waiting for it seemed like at first it was like, okay, let me get my teammates involved. And then I got to a point where when it was Cade's time to step up and be aggressive, at that point, he just didn't really get a rhythm. And then he had some bad turnovers late in the game. He didn't shoot the ball well. It wasn't a great game from Cade. And that was the most surprising because on the road, typically star players play well. At home, role players step up. It was actually the opposite. Role players played really well in New York and your star player didn't. And it's not just him, man. There were some other players I was really disappointed in, like Jalen Duren being the biggest one. I mean, seriously, Jalen Duren was disappointing. He got beat on the glass. He just didn't look like he brought the same intensity as he typically does. And that's a problem because Jalen Duren is going to be very important in this series. And now with Isaiah Stewart's injury, he's even more important because Isaiah Stewart's questionable tonight. So think about that for a second. He was very good defensively last game. Very good. And that's where the concern comes in because Jalen Duren has had dominant games this year against teams that, weren't very good. And then he had some good games against better teams. But to be on this stage against this Knicks team they have size. I mean, they could play Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns. And the Pistons tried throwing Tobias Harris at Karl-Anthony, and he was just shooting over him. I mean, quite frankly, battled him from time. I mean, there was times where they were battling and he played well on Cat. But then there's other times where Cat's just too big, and you saw that mismatch. But then you look at Jalen Duren, you're like, all right, dude, you're the pillar defensively. And he ended the game with 7 points and 6 rebounds. He had 3 blocks, which were great, but you need more in terms of rebounding. You need this man to be a double-double machine. And again, the blocks were great from Jalen Duren. You want him to continue doing that. But you got to dominate the glass. You just have to. They have to dominate the glass, and that starts with Duren, your best rebounder. So I'm looking at him, right? And of course, Asar Thompson last game started off a little slow, got those 2 quick fouls. I'm not too worried about him come the series. I think he'll get comfortable and settle in. But the thing I'm looking at tonight is like, okay, Cade, it's time. You're looking at Cade Cunningham to step up and play really well tonight, which he will. I'm not too worried about it. And then Jalen Duren. I think Jalen's got to come out here tonight and get 15, 16, and 12. That would be an ideal situation. If he can get you 15, maybe even 17 and 11 or 12, and of course sprinkle in some steals or block, whatever he wants to do defensively. You want him to be really good. But more so, I want him to be make his presence felt. That's what I want from Jalen Duren tonight. Help out. You don't want to just be a guy who averages 7 and 7 for the series, but he's good defensively. You need more out of Jalen Duren, especially offensively and rebounding. So he's a player I'm looking at tonight to really step up, aside from Cade Cunningham, because if one thing we know about Cade is he's not going to have 2 back-to-back games like that. He's just not. And like tonight, for example, give you guys an idea. Game 1, he was plus odds to go for 30. Plus odds to go for over 28 and a half or 27 and a half. So game 1, he was an underdog to go for over 28, 29. Tonight, he's a favorite. So even the sports books believe that Cade's going to have a 30-point outing tonight. You know what I mean? That's what's going to happen. So Cade is the player you don't worry about. But man, when you have role players step up in the way they did, you need to win those games. That's where it gets frustrating because especially in game 1 on the road where, the Knicks, especially with their core and what they developed this year, this is their first season all playing together. I mean, there's some guys that have former chemistry, but for a couple of these guys, it's all new, like Mike Kell, and OG, Jalen, Karl-Anthony Towns, all together collectively. It's a newer team. you just had to smack them in the face game one. And they did. The role players did. I mean, the fact that Tobias played as well as he did was incredible. And then again, like I mentioned before, like Malik Beasley coming off the bench and shooting and making 6 threes. That's where it gets really tough because it's like, dude, I mean, Tobias Harris, 4 of 5 from 3. Malik Beasley, 6 of 12 from 3. Tim Hardaway, 3 of 8 from 3. You this Pistons team, you know what they shot from 3 against the Knicks in game one? They shot 46.9%. Almost just call it 47. 47% from 3. Think about that for a second. Think about that. 47% from 3. Are they going to do that again? Probably not. That's just basketball. It's just number. I mean, you're not going to shoot 47% from 3. But what you can do is if you shoot 37% from 3, you got to get more out of Cade, especially in the fourth quarter, because you're going up against the clutch player of the year, most likely in Jalen Brunson. So if this is a tied game going into the fourth quarter, you already know what time it is for the Knicks. Give Brunson the rock. And the Pistons have to feel that way with Cade too. And last night, late in the game, man, some brutal turnovers from Cade. So hopefully these role players can step up and step up again and play. Maybe not as well as they played because it's going to be hard to top that. I mean, Tobias missed 1 3. So is that realistic? Probably not. But if he can give you something, but then you have Cade bouncing back and having a tremendous game and Jalen Duren bouncing back, it's all going to balance out. And I think it's going to be competitive just like it was yesterday. But you just can't have a fourth quarter meltdown on the road. And I get it. The inexperience showed. It did. And they are a young team. But we can't sit here and lean on that excuse. I mean, they're a 6 seed. They're a playoff team. They have a star player, borderline superstar on the Pistons. Everything's on his shoulders. So they're going to go as far as Cade can take them. And if you have role players playing well, then Cade needs to step up and play really well tonight. It's just a fact. And I know the Knicks, they have length, they have Mike Kell, they have OG, they have guys they can throw at them. But we saw Cade. Cade averaged 30 against this team in the regular season. Okay? So it's not act like, they're Cade stoppers. He's played well. Let's see. 40 Gumbo. I'm slightly concerned about how out of place Ron Holland still looks. Yeah, I mean, I think Ron Holland, that was definitely the inexperience for Ron Holland. I mean, that was his first play. I mean, he's a rookie, so it's a lot of things are first for him this year. And then he just comes out there and it's his first playoff game. And the only shot he takes was a 3, which I hated. I hated the 3 he took, and he had 2 turnovers. He just didn't play well at all. And again, that comes from that inexperience. Do I think he'll slowly get better as the series goes on? Yeah, because who else are you playing over him? I mean, who else are you playing? You're not playing Fontecchio, I'll tell you that. So you got to play Ron Holland, man. I mean, you got to play Ron Holland. You got 4 coming off your bench: Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, Dennis Schroeder, Malik Beasley. That's the 4. And probably if Isaiah Stewart doesn't go tonight, you're going to see more Paul Reed. So if Paul Reed's playing, who else are you playing? Fontecchio? Bobby Klintman? You got to play a forward. So do they have Lindy Waters the third? So they got to play him. Just I got faith in Ron though. Just don't do too much, Ron. You know what I mean? You're fine. You got your best asset to this Pistons team is what you can do defensively. They just can. And again, like to Booner's point here, this was the argument during the stream. I was telling Caleb, Knicks go a little deeper than the Pistons with Ron Holland. Yeah, I mean, they both, I would say like this Knicks team, and the big thing, I talked about this when they played them previously, but this Knicks team, what they're going to do is they're top heavy, but guys that come off their bench, man, played really well. I mean, Cam Payne, he's a player to Boone's point. He could step up. He steps up when it matters. I mean, but the Pistons also have Malik Beasley. So they kind of match that. Miles McBride didn't really play well. Landry Shamet didn't really play well, but they have Mitchell Robinson. He brings energy. It comes down to bench play too, 100%. But it also comes down, the big thing I took away from game one is taking care of the ball. You know what I mean? That's the big thing. I mean, the turnovers were awful, guys. And again, you shoot 47% from 3 and you lose by 11. That's brutal. They had 21 turnovers. 21 turnovers to the Knicks 11. It's terrible. It's terrible. Like you're not gonna win games with 21 turnovers, especially a young team. So it's awful. Like this, I like this Pistons bench a lot. They just, but it comes down to more than, the bench has to step up. Dennis Schroeder, I expect to be better today. You got to go steal this game because if you go to Detroit down 2-0, it's tough. You're facing an uphill battle here because then there's even more pressure on you to win game 3 and game 4. At least win this game. They'll be tied 1-1. Go back to Detroit, and now you're in a battle. You're still in a battle. You don't want the Knicks to have that, okay, we're up 2-0 and we're in Detroit. Like, the pressure's on them, especially for a young team. And they're going to play better at home. But that's why it's so surprising. The role players played so well on the road, and they still lost. Just turnovers, Cade not stepping up in the fourth quarter. It happens. Jesse Adams says Payne was barking at Beasley when he went and got super hot in the fourth. Yeah. Yeah, and Cameron Payne stepped up, man. But it's not like the Pistons bench didn't step up. Like Beasley played really well. He was hitting 6 threes. But Dennis Schroeder didn't really step up that much. And they traded for him. Dennis Schroeder doesn't have really any excuse. He's played in a ton of playoff games. Like, he has experience. So you kind of do expect more out of him. All right. There's my rant on the Pistons. Hopefully Stewart plays tonight because if he doesn't, that's a big swing. But he'll be back for game 3 if he doesn't. But you ideally want him. He's an important player. But I'll give you guys those updates later. You can follow us on social media. We'll have all the updates whether Stu plays or not. I think he's questionable. So there's a chance he plays, but I don't know. Jesse says Dennis didn't play that bad, though. He didn't play bad. No, I don't know I didn't mean it to come off like that, but this bench as a whole, you're relying on every game. You're basically relying on Malik Beasley, Dennis Schroeder, and then Isaiah Stewart, what he brings defensively. So, and I thought Malik and Dennis, he was fine, 3 for 8. He had 8 points, 3 assists, 2 steals. He was fine. But these guys got to play above what they're expected to play like, especially Jalen Duren. I'm probably most disappointed in Jalen Duren in game 1. So we'll see what Jalen Duren you get in game 2. That's going to be really important. But let's get to my mock draft. It's 8.0 time, and you guys know what that means because I am fired up about it. And again, no trades. No trades at all. I just kept the picks, and I decided to select players that I think the Lions are going to be in the conversation for. These are players they've met with for the most part. There are some players that I just picked that it's more of a feeling. Like if this player was here, the Lions would pick him. But for the most part, it is players that the Lions are rumored to be interested in. So there's the context. And then you guys are going to grade it. Give me a grade. And then we'll talk about it after. We'll do a mailbag. All right, let's get started. Oh my gosh. You know what? Mock draft season's fun, but when it's over, it's really over. All right, let's get to this. Let me see if I can pull this up here. All right. This is my Detroit Lions NFL mock draft 8.0. 8.0. It's kind of crazy that we've done 8 of these. We're sickos, man. But you guys have been supporting it, so I appreciate it. And this is the last one I'm doing. The boys will have their last mock drafts too. We'll break them all down on the show. So everyone will have their last and final mock. We'll have our final full first round mock. We'll break it all down on the show. Thursday, we'll have our most wanted list as well. And then we hit the draft. And then post-draft content is going to be even more exciting because we're going to cover what happened in the draft. We'll be live every day of the draft, and we'll be live in the morning on Friday for a Q&A. So remember that. Friday morning, we'll be live Q&A. So look forward to that. But let's begin. And with again, no trades. With the 28th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select, who could it be? Gray Zabel, offensive lineman. Really, I mean, if you want to call him, I wouldn't call it. He's not a tackle, I don't think, in the NFL, but more so center guard, Gray Zabel. He was there at 28. I think this is probably the most realistic first-round pick. Because, again, when you see how the board falls, for me, at least, and again, this could all change. This could all change for on Thursday. But when you see players fall, the player that's always going to be in that realm for 28 is Gray Zabel. And another player that was there was James Pierce Jr. So if you're the Lions in that exact situation, who are you going with? James Pierce Jr. or Gray Zabel? This isn't me. I'm asking you, the Lions. The Lions would probably pick Gray Zabel. They've met with him. He's versatile. He can start right away at guard for you, play center. If there's an injury, they love Graham because of his versatility. And I think Gray provides that same thing. He can play center, guard. He's played every position, basically, in college. And I know some people would say, well, North Dakota State. Listen, there are exceptions to some of those small school arguments. And a lot of the time, it's defensive players and sometimes quarterbacks and wide receivers. You don't really share, there's not a lot of love for offensive linemen coming out of random schools. But it does happen, guys. Like Gray Zabel, he could very well be an excellent guard and center in the NFL. And I believe he will, because Gray's been that player every year at North Dakota State. He has. He's been an excellent player. I mean, Malik just brought up Cody. The Bucs drafted him last year. I believe it was. Look how good he is. Bucs fans love him. So Gray Zabel is going to be the next one. And Tyler Booker, although I really like Tyler Booker, I just think Gray provides a little more versatility. And if you have a guy who can play center and guard for you, and he's just as good, he can, again, run blocking, pass blocking. He can do it all. He's got great feet. He's big, 6'6", and I like Tyler Booker, but I think what they want to do in the run game, that's kind of where Tyler Booker lacks a little bit, run blocking. He's big enough, and I think he can figure it out. He's athletic. But he's a better pass blocker. Gray's a little more well-rounded and can play center. So a little more versatility there. All right. For my next pick. Here we go. The Detroit Lions select, with 60, Josiah Stewart. This is going to happen. It's just, guys, it's just going to happen. It just is. There's nothing really to add there. Josiah Stewart's going to be a Detroit Lion. He is. They've met with him virtually and in person. He fits a position of need. He's a Swiss Army knife on defense, and he was really productive for a very good defense with really good players. And I really do like Josiah Stewart. I think when you look at him and what he did at Michigan, he had 8.5 sacks this year, which, again, you like that. You can get after the quarterback. He had a 27.7% pass rush win rate. He's going to beat you in a multitude of ways, mostly speed, but he can defend the run as well. That's what I really like about him. Lined him up outside the tackle, and he got after the quarterback. He's coming off the edge, and he's doing work. And when you see the thing I noticed with smaller defensive linemen, especially smaller defensive ends, is you face these tall tackles, these 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" guys. Josiah Stewart at 6'1" is going to be a problem. He just is. It's hard to stop those guys with the bend they have. And like Steven says in the chat, I see it. His motor's very high. It is. Josiah Stewart, high motor. He's a Detroit Lion. Okay. He's the type of player they're looking for. It just makes too much sense here. And again, I'm doing this mock as more realistic as I can. I'm trying to take away my bias towards players. Not that I don't like Josiah. I actually like him. But these first two picks, to me, is just what I think the Lions would do, given how the board fell the way it did. So, Gray Zabel, Josiah Stewart for the first two picks. I think most Lions fans will be happy with that. You address positions of need. You get two good football players, two good human beings, two guys you can depend on. There's not really bad things to say about either of these guys. But there you go. First two picks are officially made. Now, let's keep it moving. Let's go to the next selection and see what I decided to do, because I've made this pick before, and the Lions have met with them. Remember the name. The Lions select Savion Jones, edge rusher out of LSU. And I want to tell you guys this real quick. I like both edges out of LSU. I like Savion Jones. I like Braden Swinson. But Braden hasn't met with the Lions, which is weird because Braden had like a insane year. Go watch his tape. It's incredible, Braden Swinson. But Savion Jones has always been consistent. He's a really good player too. Fits, I guess. I mean, you look at measurables with what he brings to the table, and I've talked about this, 6'6", 280. I mean, he's a massive, massive dude. And he's exactly what I think the Lions would bring in terms of measurables for an edge. Like what I think they're looking for is, I think, what Savion Jones is, right? Big, powerful, put him across from Hutch, and they get that big 3-down guy that we were kind of talking about, like Josiah Stewart and then Savion Jones. And now people would say, well, back-to-back edge rushers, BPA, right? We're doing the Brad Holmes BPA here. Savion Jones is there. They've met with him. I know they really like him. Like, come on. Who wouldn't? The dude checks all the boxes. He's massive. And I love Savion Jones. He's been in a prior mock of mine. And now that it's coming out more and more that the Lions really like him, it's like it's a home run pick for me. Really. Like Malik says, Savion Jones is basically Marcus Davenport, but younger and no injury history. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Marcus Davenport, but no, like he's a big dude. And he can do some things now. I like Savion. He's I think with Casey Rogers especially, what Savion Jones could be, very good player. This year at LSU, 15.1% pass rush win rate, 32 hurries on the year. Not bad against the run either, which the Lions are looking for. But you can't, 6'6", 280 guys. And I believe I think he's got pretty long arms if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check that. Maybe I'm thinking of Braden Swinson. Either way, big, physical, good length, good power, and for 280 pounds, doesn't move like it. Moves really well. All right, let's get to the next player here. So this is where we start to address other positions, and positions I think the Lions will address at some point in the NFL draft. And this is where I think they do address it at this very pick. So let's get to it. The Detroit Lions select. This is another player I really like. Wide receiver Pat Bryant. The quote that sticks with me for Pat Bryant is no block, no rock. I'm telling you, that matters. It matters a lot, actually. It matters a lot. Pat Bryant, 6'3", 200 pounds. Guys, I think in that quote, I know it's like, it's literally something the guy said. You're going to say he goes to the Lions. Not completely. The tape is pretty impressive, too. One drop, 82.9 grade against man coverage. He's not this, like, silky, smooth route runner, but he's a go-get-it off the top shelf kind of guy, contested catch guy. But he blocks his ass off, though. Watch him on tape. Blocks his ass off. And that's what the Lions, if you're going to play on this team and you're going to play snaps, you got to block. And Pat Bryant does that. Big Ten player. They met with him. At 130, I think this would be a really good pick. He just complements what you already have. He does. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's gonna cause problems for defenses around in the middle of the field. He could do it all, really. He's had plays where he goes vertically, but he's the slot guy, right? J-Mo, outside, speedster. He can move across the middle of the field, too. He can kind of do it all. Pat Bryant, 6'3", 200 pounds, contested catch guy, right? Stretch the field, go up and make plays. Possession catch guy, aggressive catch guy. Like I said, top shelf catch guy. Whatever you need Pat Bryant to do. Or let's say you don't even throw him the ball. Just put him out there. He can block, right? Like he can do it. He can do all of that. So I love it. 69.2% contested catch rate. It's pretty impressive. So Again, a player that I've liked for a while during this process, but a player the Lions have met with. Notice these are all players they've met with, guys. Trying to keep this consistent. I'm not one of those YouTubers. I'm not just throwing out picks because I like them. These are guys I'm trying to keep this semi-realistic. No trades. So maybe that's not realistic, but players, semi-realistic. Gray Zabel, Josiah Stewart, Savion Jones, Pat Bryant. Those are the first 4 picks. Now let's get to the next one. This was an audible by me. So if you don't like it, this is BPA for me, guys. And again, we don't know how the draft's going to fall in real life, but how it fell for me is how I decided to kind of go with it. And that player is safety Jordan Hancock. Okay, Jordan Hancock, the safety out of Ohio State. This, again, I tried to find information regarding Jordan Hancock. Based on what I've read, he hasn't met with the Lions, but what I know about Jordan Hancock is he's just a well-rounded safety, well-rounded guy. And the Lions have met with a lot of safeties. They've met with Jonas Sanker from Virginia, which he was already off the board. But Jordan Hancock is someone who can play the run. He's not the best man-to-man cover guy, but he split. He was playing deep safety. He was playing at nickel. And I think that versatility is going to matter because the Lions need that versatility, especially his ability to play nickel, which he did for the Ohio State Buckeyes. You play some nickel against the teams they've played, there's some value there. And it's something about Ohio State. They always put out really good DBs. And I like Jordan Hancock a lot. So he can do a lot for you. So, excuse me. Jordan Hancock is a name to remember here. But think about this. The Lions typically pick guys early that they've met with, but when you get to around 196, it comes down to BPA. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be guys they've met with, and they haven't met with Jordan Hancock, but I think he's a really good player, and I think he will be a really good player in the NFL. I'm not saying he'll be Brian Branch or Kirby, but I think he'll be a really good role player, and that's basically what you're going. That's what you're going with here at 196 is like, can this guy be at the floor a really good role player? And I think he can. I was hoping I could get Jonas. I really was, guys. Trust me. I want Jonas Sanker, but you'd have to take him a little higher, and he wasn't there at 196. So Sanker out of Virginia, the Lions have met with, and I think he fits exactly what they're looking for, but I just couldn't get him. So had to pivot and take a safety. But I like Jordan Hancock. This isn't me reaching on a position. This is me taking a player that was there that I really like. Let's get to the next pick. All right. I decided to go defensive line again and select a player that they've met with at the combine, and that is Ty Robinson. I know people are like, oh, here we go, Ty Robinson. This is the perfect one right here. And by the way, Doug says trade up for Sanker. Could happen. Not ruling that out at all. But Ty Robinson, this is the annual Ty Robinson in the late rounds, every mock draft for the Lions. And Ty Robinson, I love, played a lot of 3-tech. He's versatile, can play everywhere. And I think with John Kaminsky retiring, he is basically John Kaminsky. That is what Ty Robinson is, and that's why I think they would be perfectly okay with taking him. I do. Because he can play that 3-tech. He can play, if there is an injury, you need like a defensive tackle. He can go in there and play defensive tackle. He could play on the edge, but you can move him around, kind of like Kamish. Like Kamish could play everywhere. I mean, they use Kamish on the edge, inside. He can play. The same with Ty Robinson. He could play inside, outside. Plays with a lot of power, and he has a high motor. And he's bigger, yeah. I think Kamish is like 6'3", 6'4". Ty Robinson's like 6'6". So, yeah, love this pick, Ty Robinson. He's going to be a really good player. Let's get to the next pick, the last pick. And with that pick, I decided to go a player I really like. Again, this isn't. I have two players that didn't meet with the Lions that I just like on this: Jordan Hancock and Smail Mondon. I know, which is okay. I already know. Oh, here we go, trying to throw in your narrative about Smail Mondon. But I really like Smail. I do. And I think as a late pick, linebacker, special teamer, give me Smail Mondon. I want him on the Lions. Perfect fit. And if you have Calvin Shepard as your defensive coordinator, I think he can develop linebackers, and he is the perfect linebacker to go develop. Go watch his tape a little bit, man. Go watch his tape. You don't like what you see. And I think he's a perfect late round flyer because he can come in and play right away on special teams for you. And that's what the Lions are looking for, man. 3 phases of the game they value, and Smale could provide that. So this is my whole entire mock draft, no trades, every pick. My 8.0. Gray Zabel at 28, Josiah Stewart at 60, Savion Jones at 102, Pat Bryant at 130, Jordan Hancock at 196, 228 Ty Robinson. And I see the chat. He could easily be gone earlier. 244 Smale Mondon. That's the draft. So give me a grade. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you disagree with any of these picks, tell me why. I don't hate it. I don't mind criticism. I don't mind it. I'm open to it. But I tried to keep this semi-realistic to what I think the Lions will do. So this is the way I went. But there you go. Let me take this off. All right, we are back. What do we think? What do we think? The Lions ended with that draft, and I'll just speak on the first because late rounds are hard to predict. But if we're just going off, if we're going off like rounds 1, 2, and 3, I would love that outcome. Or 4, just go for the first 4 rounds, and whatever happens after that, you could just pick whoever the hell you want. Gray Zabel, Josiah Stewart, Savion Jones, and Pat Bryant. I'm a happy man. I'm a very happy man. Pennywise, you son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. Malik, I'll give it an A. Only thing I'm not that high on is Jordan Hancock. That's fair. That was more of a what do you call that? It's more subjective. Like I'm not gonna, that's more preference. So I can't be mad at it. But Malik, you've been showing love on the mocks. So the fact that you disagree on something, I'm actually it's a little refreshing. Me and you always align. Jay Hart, mock draft grade A. Appreciate that, Jay Hart. Shift got A. Jay Cruz an A. Boone says I actually love this. He says I'm just gonna use this for mine. Yeah, the boys will have theirs as well. So our final, it's going to be interesting. Lou J, B+, Zabel's a perfect fit and utility piece, but not sure Stewart Jones are the best comment to Hutch. Maybe someone better falls. Hey, it could happen. It could happen. Jesse says B+ for me, Jeff. Appreciate you, Jesse. I'll take that. Jesse also says Ty Robinson reminds me of an older dude named Justin Smith. Big old white. Big old white. He played for Jimmy's 49ers teams. He could play inside and out. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what his role is going to be. Doug says, very good draft. I do think Brad will trade up for the middle rounds for a guy. I do too. A little stinky. He says, yeah, you get an A- based on the first 4 picks alone. Would love to see it. However, I think they would take a higher end safety before a second edge. Interesting. And I actually don't hate that point. Because if you take an edge in round 2, maybe round 3, they go safety. Fuck it. I would not be shocked. But I think the steal of my entire draft, you know what I think, fellas? It's going to be Savion Jones. I really do. I think Savion's going to be he's going to be a good player. I'm not saying the guy's going to be like an all-pro, but next to Hutch, I think he's going to be the perfect complement. Any of those LSU edges, I like Braden a lot too, and I'm surprised they haven't really met with him. I don't know if I'm missing something. Maybe it's like something off the field. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe they did meet with him, but I know Malik knows what I'm talking about. Braden's really good. Really good. Both those edges are really good. And they took Mekhi Wingo last year at LSU, so you'd think they'd watching some tape of Mekhi last year. They might have caught those guys. Like, who are these guys? Even though Braden kind of he had a 1 year, he started this year fully, but even Savion Jones, they could have gotten to see last year. We're like, who's this guy? Pennywise says, are you doing what you think will happen or what you want to happen? For the most part, that's all what I think will happen. Players, I've tried to factor in players they've met with, players they've spoken to, players that fit exactly what the Lions are looking for. So that's kind of the way I went with that one. Jesse says, mailbag Jeff, Jordan Reed for ESPN did a 3-round mock. He has these 3 players for the Lions: 28 Zabel, 60 JTT from Ohio State, 102 Jonas Sanker. I like that. I love JTT too, man. I think he's kind of underrated. I know he's just not a guy people are looking at as like his win rate's gonna be this crazy number, but he just gets it done. He just gets it done. The production's there, and people will say, oh, it's cleanup sacks, but Go watch JTT from Ohio State. Watch that Penn State game. I think from this past year, but the year prior. That's what he can do. Get Up Boy Juan says, I really want Derek Harmon. I wouldn't be mad at Derek Harmon either. Michael says, I like the mock, Jeff. I want to see a late round hooker replacement. I saw you type that earlier, Michael, and I actually don't hate that idea. It's a good point to bring up. Like, why haven't people talked more about drafting a quarterback? You know? I think that's a good point. At least take a flyer on a guy. If you want to, go ahead. Nothing wrong with it. Take one in the 6th or 7th round. It is what it is. Can't play special teams for you, but you never know. If you really like the player, I like Seth Hannigan. Call me crazy. I've talked to the boys about it, and I've been watching a little more. I like him. I'm not saying the guy's going to be like a starter, but as a backup, I like Seth Hannigan. From Memphis. Go watch that. Go watch that tape, dude. Memphis. And in the NIL era, he's played the last 4 years at Memphis. Just a loyal dude, man. Can sling it. Pocket quarterback. Go watch his breakdown. And then he did one with John Gruden for Barstool. Go watch that. Seth Hannigan. You'll like it. Mm-hmm. It is here. It's Seth. Let me see. Seth Hannigan. Right there. That's how you spell it. Memphis quarterback. He's intriguing. He'll probably be like around 6'7" guy. But if they don't, like Malik says, Hennigan do be a dog, but I want to wait for a round 1 to 3 quarterback in 2026. Yeah, I mean, they could take one a little earlier next year. I mean, who knows, man? I think just quarterbacks in general, teams, if you're going to take one, it's not a bad idea to take one in the late rounds. I mean, if you take now Hendon Hooker being a 3rd round pick, that's pretty high. So you expect him to be like compete for the starting job. I mean, that's a pretty high draft pick. But if you're taking one in like the 6th, 7th, you should do it every year. But to your point, Malik, if you really like a guy and you take him in the top 3 rounds, then take him. But you're not taking that guy to be a backup. You know? That's the thing that frustrates me about Hendon Hooker. It's like, damn, basically just a backup. Round 3 pick. Tough. Richard says if they could lose Hooker, that guy Howard from Kansas State is actually the seal of the draft. I'm with you, Richard. Will Howard. Played at Kansas State. Most recently played at Ohio State. Won a national championship. But Will Howard's he's not a bad little QB. I like him too. I think the Raiders should take him, to be honest with you. I think he'd be like a really good fit there. And guess who the OC is? His OC at Ohio State. Chip Kelly. Raiders OC. So watch the Raiders take him. He'll end up a Raider. He will. Shift God says Memphis quarterbacks are hits and misses. Hopefully he doesn't end up like Paxton Lynch. Well, yeah, I mean, Paxton Lynch, that would be awful. Jesse Adams, FYI for the Jordan Reed mock, 27th, Kenny Grant went 27th, and BC Kid went 29, so that hurt me. Oh, Izaraku. So they passed on Izaraku for Gray Zabel? I wonder if that happened in real life, how people would feel. That'd be interesting. Malik says, y'all familiar with Gio Lopez, the South Alabama quarterback who just transferred to UNC? I'm intrigued, but got to see what his game's all about. I don't. Gio Lopez. I got to remember the name. Remember the name. Gio Lopez. Lou J, what do you think about Dart being minus 700 to go in the first round? I think he goes first round. I mean, I said it the other day. My overreaction for the draft, it was 3 quarterbacks in the top 10. But, yeah, I think there's a legitimate chance that Cam Ward goes 1, Shedeur goes 3, and Jackson Dart goes 9 to the Saints. And the more I've read is that Shedeur, I still think the Giants are in play, but if it's not the Giants, I don't think the Saints would draft him. I think what they're looking for is more Jackson Dart. But I think he goes in the first round. I think he goes in the top 10. I do. So 3 quarterbacks in the top 10, man. Not saying this quarterback class is elite, but it's just the reality. Teams need quarterbacks, and you guys know how quarterbacks are in the NFL. Most valuable thing ever is hitting on one. And if you're a bad team, got to swing. So you don't have to, but teams typically do, especially if they don't want to be the team that missed on him. Imagine that, like Jackson Dart goes to the Steelers, and the Saints could have had him, and he turns into his really good quarterback. The Saints are going to be kicking themselves, man. They're going to be pissed. Unless they get Arch Manning, which they could, I guess. Doug says, could be 4 QBs in the first round. Call me crazy. I mean, yeah, that'd be the Jalen Milroe trade up or Tyler Shuck. I mean, he's probably going to go second round. So we'll see how that goes. Michigan owns Ohio State says Brad Holmes might draft Milroe to keep his streak of drafting Bama players. Hooker is cooked. Don't you? Let me tell you this. And I don't care how stupid this sounds. If Jalen Milroe is drafted by the Lions, he won't beat out Hendon Hooker. Yeah, I said it. He ain't. He ain't beating out Hendon Hooker. I don't care. Call me crazy. Maybe I'm delusional, but I don't think I am. Austin says, what's with TJ Watt rumors about he might get traded to the Lions? I haven't heard a thing about that. What TJ Watt rumors are you talking about? What? What? Oh, yeah. Hypothetical scenario. There's no way. No way. Yeah, he wants a new deal. Lions wouldn't pay that. Michael says Hooker couldn't beat out a high school coach. Oh my God, guys, we got to go down this. I swear, not you, Michael, but it's like trying to trigger me or something. We've been through this. We've been through this already. Okay. We've been through this. All right, Michael. Damn. But Jalen Milroe, it's just, there's no way, right? If he beats out Hendon Hooker, if he's drafted, I'll shit myself. I would be embarrassed. I'd be disappointed. I'd have to go up to the podium. Oh, Jesse, don't do this. Let's not spread bullshit, Jesse. Let's not spread bullshit, Jesse. Let's not spread bullshit. Okay, Jesse, and I'm this is the last time I'm doing this. Okay, because I'm not gonna sit here and act. I'm not to do that because I think the more you say you defend it, the more guilty you look. If you watched me and Adam on air, you know the answer to this question. You know the answer to this question. I don't even have to say it. There was no one on that station that shit on Malik Willis more than me and Adam. And that's a fact. So let's not go to that. All right. There was actual idiots that wanted this man at 2. Mm-hmm. Or at 28. Ridiculous. Oh, okay. I know. Okay, Jesse, he clarified how I'm saying you went at people for dying on the hill, which you are doing now for Hooker. Well, okay, but here's the thing. All right, one was a rumored they wanted him in the first round, and Hooker was a 3rd round pick. The second thing is Hooker was more accomplished than Malik Willis in college by far. All right, so give me some at least. I mean, Malik Willis, Liberty quarterback, he's fine, he's mid. At least Hendon Hooker was in the Heisman conversation. Played in the SEC, balled out. Went in the 3rd round. See, Jesse, you got me defending it now. Damn it. I'm digging myself deeper into the hole. I agree, those people are dumb as fuck. Yeah. Well, everyone has bad takes, man. I've had bad takes. I'm pretty open about it. There's players. I'm trying to think. I've had some bad takes. Maybe this Hendon Hooker is probably the worst take. I said he'd start over Jared Goff in the future. So I'm not even coming. I hate doing that, coming at people for bad takes. Like I've had bad takes. We all have bad takes, man. We speak for a living. I mean, fans have bad takes. I said Hendon Hooker would start next year for the Lions. So you're looking at that guy right now. I'm an absolute dumbass. What was your question? I'm trying to find your question. What was your question, El Guapo? Drop your question again. All right, drop your question again. But yeah, I don't care. People, I mean, guys, this is a business, especially sports. You're throwing out takes every day. I mean, you guys throw out takes in our chat. We say takes on air. I mean, like the Malik Willis people, it's like, was it stupid at the time? Yes, it was. But it's like, I'm not going to punish someone for a bad take. You know what I'm saying? I might flex on you a little bit after, but then it's over, you know? After that, it is what it is. But yeah, the Hendon Hooker thing is pretty brutal. That's tough. That's tough. The Jeff Iafrate committee, we have now changed that from starting quarterback for the Lions to he is now the backup for the future. So we've moved it. We've moved the goalpost. So it is what it is. Appreciate you all for tuning in today, man. Showing love to the show. It's the best. I love hanging out with you guys. We'll be live tonight for the Pistons game. So be there. 7 o'clock. Streams up. Go in there. Spam. Come hang out. Have a good time. But until then, I will catch you all. Much love as usual. Peace.